Hey, what is up, everybody? I'm here to give you, for the first time in a long time, the last time I did this was in March of 2013. It might have even been April. I don't even remember. Um, I'm here to give you the Walking Dead review. I'm going to do an episode of the Walking Dead review. But before I start this video, I want to apologize for the lack of videos, because I said I was going to be uploading a lot of videos, and it's just, I don't know. I kind of need to get my shit together a little bit because I've been getting up really late lately. I've been getting up at 1:30, been lounging around, being lazy. So it's really on me. Because I'm in like that school vacation mode. So now that I'm out of school, I'm kind of in that vacation mode. So I'm trying to get back into tune with reality, really. Um, because I really need to do that. So I'm gonna try to make this finish the Walking Dead reviews and the Breaking Bad reviews at least before I get back to school. I probably won't finish Breaking Bad reviews. I at least want to finish this season before, but that's a different video. But The Walking Dead, I definitely want to finish this show before I go back to school. Because then I'm gonna be in a real rut. So yeah, so let's talk about this. So I haven't seen anything yet. I'm gonna watch it off on demand. Um, and then I'm gonna, as it like goes to commercial on demand, I'm gonna pause it, come on here, give my thoughts on what's been going on with each episode, and small videos, and then I'll combine them all into a big video. Um, I hope this season's good. I saw the trailer, and it actually looks pretty good. Because last season I thought was good, but it wasn't really anything memorable. I want things to be memorable this season, and it looks like they're gonna be. There's gonna be some stuff that's gonna happen this season. Now, obviously you guys know I haven't seen the show yet, so when I say stuff like that, I'm obviously talking about as if it's happening like currently for me. Um, so please, I beg you, if you leave a comment, do not post a spoiler of what happens beyond this episode, because I don't know what happens beyond this episode. So I'm gonna try to sit down here, watch the show. Um, I'm pretty in tune with what's going on. I think I remember a lot of stuff that's happened, and I think it's gonna even have like a previously on Walking Dead what's happened. So I'll probably go watch that part of it. Um, but I'm looking forward to this season. I definitely think last season definitely left us with a little bit of a cliffhanger because we don't really know what's gonna happen. So at least we did get that. But yeah, I don't know what happened. I guess cause like I get maybe because I've watched it off Netflix too, so I obviously know what happened at the end of each season. But I don't even think it's just that. I think it's just because I've been so busy with school and other things that I just don't really remember much of what happened last season. Um, I'm not really sure why either. It's just weird. So yeah, I'm gonna sit down and watch this season. Um, and this is season one. No, sorry, it's not season one. It's season 6, episode 1. I gotta find and this episode came out on October originally, which I think it actually did come out this day, on October 11th, 2015. And yeah, now that I've said that, I've gone into that far talking about it. Now let me get to the review. And I didn't even mention this, but now it's gonna be weird watching the show now that I've seen Fear the Walking Dead. Because we know a little bit more in depth about what's going on because we've seen that show. So it's going to be weird watching this show after watching that last show, which I can't wait to see when that comes back. But yeah, let's get to the Walking Dead review starting now. I want to make sure you guys know too that I have to stop and watch another show around 7:30, so I don't know if I'm going to upload the video by tonight or by midnight-ish, so I'm going to try to get the video up as soon as I can, but I do have to stop and watch another TV show around 11:30. Well, around 7:30, it'll be on till like 11:05-ish, so just want to make sure you guys know that. Okay, so my apologies. I couldn't find it on demand, so I had to play around with it, find it for a little bit, and I did end up finding it. I found it off some website, so I think this is how I'm going to be watching it for a while. So let's start the review. So it starts off obviously by showing some highlights of what happened last season. Um, pretty much all the important stuff. And the scene opens up, and pretty much I think there is a little bit of a time skip. Um, Now the thing I don't remember is, um, it kind of showed Wick, shooting the person that killed the lead, like the leader of the town's wife. I don't remember her name, and I don't, I haven't seen this show in a while, so it's tough for me to remember his names. I obviously remember who Wick is since I've seen him since, the first season. Um, and it kind of goes into, and Morgan comes up and confronts him about it, and then it goes into a black screen, and Rick says, so pretty much what's happening is they're gonna go after the zombies this time, and Rick even says, "I know it sounds insane, but this is an insane world," and they're at this place like I can't really describe what it is. It's like they're at like a mountain, I think. And Rick's coming up with a plan of what they're gonna do, but the zombies tip over a truck, um, and so they got it. So they realize they have to do it, pretty soon. And one of the people says, "We're not ready for this," because they obviously aren't, because they haven't seen zombies really. They haven't really experienced them because they've been cooped up in the town for a while. And they don't have the training and all that stuff. So Rick says we're gonna have to, but the guy's like, "What? But we haven't even gone through the whole place yet." And one of the kids that has a problem with Glenn, that they got into a fight, the last episode of the at the end, says that he's willing to help, and Glenn tells him to do everything that he says. And pretty much what happened is there was these two trucks that were combined together to keep the walkers out. So Glenn drives up. Well, somebody, I think it's Glenn, drives one of the trucks and separates them. And the zombies start coming in. And the zombies look pretty cool this season. The zombies obviously look different. I guess look cooler to me now since I saw Fear the Walking Dead. So there's obviously a comparison. But there was one that was really decapitated, I think is how you say it. But he was really, his you could see like he was really skinny, and his chest was all torn off, and his body was just a mess. I thought he looked really cool. And then the theme song hits, and I haven't really seen the theme song if it's different yet. That's really kind of all I've seen so far. But I actually think it's opening, and they even shoot off some flare guns to get the zombies' attention, so that way they'll walk over towards them. So I actually like the opening scene so far. Great opening scene. Okay, so with the theme song, or the opening intro that has that video of the theme song. To be honest with you, I don't remember if it's different, because I haven't seen the show in a while, so can't really judge. Can't really tell you that. So let's start off. So then what happens is, so obviously what we saw earlier was more looking into the future, because it cuts back to the present. And Diana is looking over her, well, I guess where her dead husband was. And Gabriel, I remember him, I hated him, comes up, and Diana tells Gabriel that she was wrong, because last episode, she was talking about, how bad people Rick's group was, and she said he was wrong, and he's just like, and he just kind of nods his head yes, and then it kind of cuts to the next scene. And Abraham takes one of the dead bodies. I'm not sure which one it is, and I think it's Diana's husband. I never know his name. They say it all the time too, but I can never think of his name. And this is in black and white too. And I kind of like, and at first I thought it was the website, but no, it's just the episode itself. And I kind of like how it's in black and white, because I think it has that effect to the show. So I thought that was cool. If they do it all the time, that's gonna get old. But I think for this episode, it was cool. Um, and it adds that special effect to the scenes that are going on. Um, and Then what happens? Later on, too, Sasha comes over and he kind of gives her like a peace sign. Um, and then Rick is all bandaged up too from the beatings that he's been taking. I mean, he was bandaged up before, but he's all bandaged up now, and he tells Morgan that he doesn't take chances anymore. He says that they're going to discuss everything tomorrow, and Morgan says that he understands. Because he obviously doesn't want to take chances, because the last time we saw Morgan, he was pretty much out of his mind. He was crazy out of his mind the last time they saw each other. And he doesn't know what Morgan has done since then, so I think that makes sense. So, a little later on in the episode, he's in a prison cell, and Rick comes in and asks him, he has like his little karate stick, and I'm not sure if it's karate or jiu-jitsu, one of the two. And he asks if he learned that before or after. And when he doesn't answer him, Rick's like, "You better answer me, because that's just common courtesy." I think, since I haven't seen the first season in quite some time, I think when Morgan and Rick first met, Morgan asked him that same question, and I think that was supposed to be a rub on that line. I think that's what Rick was referring to, and I thought that was kind of cool. And Morgan says after, and Rick apologizes for having to keep him blocked up in here, and Morgan says, "Well, it's okay, because nowadays some of the best places to be are where there's no escape." And earlier, it goes back to color, and everybody is outside, and they have these missions going on where they're killing zombies and all that stuff, and they have walkie-talkies they talk through, and they have like new people out there doing this stuff, I guess, to teach them what it's like out in the real world and all that. Well, outside of their world, outside of the town. So I thought that was cool. So then what happens now? Rick tells Daryl that they're not going to be searching for recruits anymore, because they can take care of themselves and we can take care of ourselves. And Daryl doesn't really feel the same way. I think Daryl liked the idea of looking for new recruits. But he has to tell, I think his name was Adam. Like I said, I haven't seen this show in a while, so but Daryl, like I said, he's all cool with it. But I don't really think he is. I think he actually liked the idea of looking for new recruits. And Rick kind of updates Morgan about what's been going on. Actually, before that, Abraham and Sasha, and Abraham's checking on Sasha's well-being, because last time she was kind of losing it, the last season. And Sasha's like, "Well, why would you come with me if come with me?" And she says she lives for these thrills. She lives for these big missions. And then another line I forgot is Glenn and that other guy come out. I forget his name, but from beating the hell out of each other, they just lie. They say that they got tied up with some walkers, which is kind of true. And Tara wakes up because she something happened to her last season. I remember her getting injured last season. I just don't remember what happens. My apologies. So that happens. And Eugene comes in, and I thought that was cool. And Rick tells Morgan everything about the town that's been going on, about, Diana building the wall. And Rick even tells him that these people have just been living. They haven't had to survive yet. And they say it may be too late for them to realize what they have to do to survive. Because pretty much since the beginning, they've been trapped in the city. So then Gabriel and somebody else digging a grave for the guy that murdered Diana's um, husband, and Rick says that he doesn't want a murderer buried here. Diana agrees, obviously, because this guy killed her husband. So normally, if you mess with somebody's partner or boyfriend or girlfriend, there's gonna be hell to pay. So they tell him to take him out west of somewhere where they're gonna go and just let the trees deal with them. And then Rick Morgan says, you could take him to the prison cell, and he's like, the prison cell aren't for murderers. And Morgan tells him, well, you used to be a murderer, Rick, which is true because we've seen Rick kill people, and Morgan's killed people, but Rick doesn't really have an answer for it. And then Michonne, Morgan, and Rick make like a barrier so that way zombies can't get in. What they call, and the RV, which reminded me of the RV from Walter and Jesse's from Breaking Bad that Walter and Jesse would use to cook crystal meth. That ended up getting destroyed. And then Morgan randomly brings up that when Michonne was in his town, he remembers that he had 2 protein bars and she ate one of them. I thought that was hilarious. I feel like that's going to be used to bring up something else later. One of the kids, the father who is being buried out west, because Rick and Morgan are bringing this guy out west and they're going to bury him. Morgan tells Rick that Rick wants to leave him there. He doesn't want to have him buried or anything like that. But Morgan tells him that he knows that's not the kind of person that Rick is. And Rick says that you don't know me at all, because it's kind of true because they haven't really kept in contact at all or anything like that. So Morgan's digging, but then Rick sees like I don't know if it's like a plateau or like a mountain. I don't really know what it is, but it's that same place that I talked to you about earlier where they see all these zombies. And that little kid that followed Rick is being chased by zombies, and Rick tackles him out of the way, and I think Rick and Morgan start fighting him. I think Rick shot one of them, and Morgan hit one of them with like the stick that he uses, and I don't know. I know that there's probably like a technical term that people with karate and stuff use, but. And then that was it. It went right to commercial. I think the episode's been good so far. I like that they're doing that black and white effect, and I like the stuff that's going on with Rick and Morgan right now. And what else do I like? It's about it. It's a very bland so far, I think. But I think it's been okay. I think it's been decent. Okay, so actually, one thing I actually forgot to talk about because I went and watched my TV show. And I'm back now, and I went back to watch the show, and I was skimming through fast forwarding, and I actually fast forwarded to this scene, and I actually forgot to talk about this scene, so I figured I'd sit here and talk about it. Eugene is guarding the gate or the wall, and a car pulls up, and we see these new characters. We saw this guy earlier in the episode, but we didn't know who he was. He's a black guy that wears glasses, and he has like a ponytail going on, and Eugene, and he wants him to, and this guy wants Eugene to open the gate, but obviously Eugene says he's not authorized to do this because he doesn't know who he is, because they've been gone for 2 weeks, and I guess during this time, that's when Rick's group came in. So they've been there while they've been gone, so they don't really know if they can trust these guys. So he introduces himself. He says that he's Heaton, and I think that's what he said, Heaton. But I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll obviously make sure to talk about that. And Eugene said that he is that how is suspicious, saying, "How do I know you're not gonna kill me if I don't open this gate?" He says, "I promise you I won't." But because they've been out for a run too, a couple of weeks. I don't know if I said that. Um, but the more you make, but the more you make me wait, the more it makes me want to beat you ass. So he lets them in, and we meet the other two, Scott and I forgot the girl's name. I think he says her name's Amanda or something like. I might, to be honest with you, I don't remember. Um, and Keaton's kind of asking what's been going on, and he says that they had a meeting last night, and he wants to know what it's about. And Eugene tells him to get it from Diana, um, because she's the one in charge. And then that was it. So I'm not sure how I feel about these new characters yet because I just met them. I like Keaton so far; he seems pretty cool. The other two didn't really say nothing, so I can't really judge. But I figured, I'd sit down and talk about this part. So let's continue on with the review. Okay, so now it's back in color, and Daryl was luring like a crap load of zombies away with his motorcycle. Um, I'm not. I don't remember if they said why. Um, Obviously to keep the people safe, so I guess they want to lure them away from the pack. And then it goes back to black and white, and Rick, Morgan, and Ron are out looking at that. I guess it's like a sand dune. It's not a sand dune, but it's like a plateau or something. It's not really a plateau. I'm just gonna call it a mountain. I don't know what it is. It's like somewhere in the woods. Um, and that's why pretty much Rick says that this is why the community is still standing, because they blocked them in. They have all these trucks blocking their path so that way they can't get back. I like only like about one or two of them can get out, because there's only like a small space where they can get out. So that's why they've been able to keep the community standing, is because all the zombies are there. Like there's obviously we've seen like a few out there, but they've mainly all been there. So that's pretty much why. And when Ron tries to go back, Rick tells him that what he's doing out here. Ron says that he wanted to see where his dad was buried, and Rick says that you don't want to be out here. You don't want to be out by yourself. You're not ready to be out here because you'll die out here. You won't die quick. It's going to be slow and painless because you're going to turn into a zombie. And he says you're going to come back with us right now. So they start walking back. And then Rick ends up burying Juan's father, which I thought was a nice touch because I don't think Juan wants to see his father just out left in the dust to get eaten. He wants to be buried in a nice way. And then it's back in color, and we see Glenn, some other guy, I don't remember his name, and Heaton, and they're at the place before where the zombies, because there's a bunch of zombies like in a building scratching at these revolving doors, and they have to kill these zombies off because then they're gonna attract noise with Dale, because they'll attract noise with Dale's, with the herd that's following Dale, and then they'll go over there, and then it'll probably break down into chaos. So what's gonna happen is they're gonna take him. He's gonna have one of the guys open the door, and Glenn's gonna take and shut. They're gonna take him out piece by piece. However, when they try to open when he tries to open the door, I forget the thin's closed. It's like the garage door is closed, so they can't get out. So they're pretty much screwed. So then that's pretty much was it. So yeah, so far I thought this was some pretty good stuff. And I guess they said if it breaks into chaos, they're gonna run into the woods and lure him away. So yeah, I thought this was pretty good stuff right here. Okay, so now it's back in black and white, and I get the concept now because I didn't really get what was going on before. So what's happening is anytime it's in black and white, it's showing the past, and when it's in color, that's the present. So I think that's actually kind of cool the way they set that up. And Wick's telling them about the problem about the camp and how there's zombies there. They just pretty much all killed themselves at this camp, and They're all blocked out. They can't get out. But the problem is they're attracting other zombies, and if it's being held together by these two trucks, and if that gives out, all the zombies will run rampage. Um, so they come up with this plan where Daryl is gonna use his motorcycle to draw them away, and Sasha and Abraham are gonna obviously be in a car doing the same thing, and they're all gonna try to take out these zombies and lure them away from this site. And they say it is risky, but it's the only way that it's gonna work. And I don't really know where they're gonna take them, but they're just gonna lure them away. And one of the guys, I forget his name, says, because since when zombies see something, they follow together when they're herd. One of the guys says, "Well, why should we trust you after everything you've done since you come here?" And because he says, "Well, we can always just build, a bigger, fill up the gaps with a wall. I can draw up a plan." And Rick says, "Well, it's the noise that's going to attract other zombies." And Diana says we're going to go with Rick's plan, and everybody's going to help Glenn. This is what we've been seeing Glenn. That other guy, I forget his name now, but I just said it before. That new guy we just saw. And when Gabriel asks if he can help, Rick turns him down and he says no. I thought that was cool. And then that was it. So then it goes back to the present, and Daryl, Abraham, and Sasha have lured the zombies away, and Rick, Michonne, and Morgan shoot flare guns up, and then it cuts to commercials. So yeah, I thought this was fine. I thought this was a pretty good scene here. Okay, so we found so yeah, they are luring them away. I didn't say this part because I forgot to. But they're gonna build like a tower so that way they can't get out. So they're coming up with a plan about where they're gonna build this thing. And the guy that's, I forget his name, Calder. His name is Calder. Calder says, "Well, what if the thing gives out and then they'll just end up coming back here?" And well, Rick asks him for his help because you were able to make the wall possible, and he agrees. So then it comes back to the present, and a bunch of zombies are starting to head towards this wall. Rick, Morgan, and Michonne continue to shoot their flare guns, and Daryl continues to lure them. And there was a few zombies that ended up hitting their heads off the wall, so they ended up dying because their heads are really soft. So I thought that was kind of funny. And then it shows them actually building it, which I did like this part, how it cut to them building it. And Dale says, "Well, you know how you said we were going to take care of ourselves? Well, going out and finding new people, that is taking care of ourselves." Because what Dale is trying to say is if they find new people, they could possibly protect them and all that stuff. And then Carol comes over to Rick and says, I can come out with you guys because and Maggie's, by the way, gonna stay back too. I could come out with you guys because you guys taught me how to use a gun. And Rick says that you're better off staying here. And Rick even says that they're starting to get that they still have a long way to go to get what's really going on. And Carol says that before Diana's a leader, but you've started to take for some leadership. And then Glenn, I'm gonna call that guy Spencer because I think that's his name. But it's the guy, it's that other guy that tried to kill Glenn off in the woods. And Heaton. What's gonna happen is they're gonna shoot down a window to get the zombies to come out, and they're gonna take them down, as they come out. And he only wants him and Heaton to do it. He wants Spencer, or at least I think that's his name, just stand back and warn Wick if things go back and draw them away. And then it cuts back to the past where they'll continue to help build the structure. And Maggie tells Taro, I think her name is, that Maggie tells Taro about the night that Spencer lured Glenn into the woods and tried to kill him. And he says that Glenn told Maggie and she was allowed to keep it to. She was either allowed to keep it to herself or tell everybody else about it, because if she tells everybody, then Spencer would get exiled, and he would pretty much would die because he's never lit. He wouldn't know how to handle himself outside the community, and she says no, and then Maggie talks about how Glenn saves people no matter who they are. He's a nice person. He saves people, which I think that is nice. And she even talks about too how at one point when her father died, her and Taro were on opposite sides of the fences, but now you and I, you're one of the closest people to me, so you're allowed to tell somebody, but things can look up, things can turn around. And Taylor says that she's gonna follow Maggie's lead, and then it cuts back to the present, and Glenn ends up shooting the window, so a bunch of zombies start coming out, and they Glenn and Heaton start shooting and killing all of them. And then Heaton ends up getting in trouble, so Spencer stabs one of them with something. I didn't really see what it was, and he ends up saving him, which says a lot because that shows he's kind of changed his ways. And then he ends up, and then Glenn looks at him, and there's one more left, and he says, "Get it." And then he ends up taking that one out, and then they walk off. So I actually did like these scenes. I did think these were good scenes. Okay, so what happens next is Morgan meets Carol for the first time, and he asks her if she was a cop before, because she always seems ready for the unexpected. She always seems to know how to handle a situation like this, like they're dealing with. And then it goes to the present time, and Sasha and Abraham are driving away, continuing to lure the zombies away, and some of them are doing a walkout, which I guess means that they're leaving the group. So Abraham goes and kills the ones that left the group. So then when he gets back in, he's all happy that he's blood, and he's like, "This is the stuff that I live for." And he says that he lives for these moments. And he talks a little bit about the night when Reagan, I think his name was killed, and Pete was killed. And then it cuts back to the past, and Rick is talking to Diana, and he apologizes for her husband's loss, and he thinks it's a good idea about putting this wall. But Rick wants everybody to be armed. He wants everyone to learn how to fire guns in case they need to. So he wants them to be trained. And then a few zombies start coming over, and Rick wants the people in the town to kill these people. Tells them not to use their gun because that's just gonna lure more of them. Use your shovel. And they're not really getting the concepts. So Morgan saves them, and Dale and Michonne and Rick, and they kill all of them. And Rick looks at Morgan, and he's pissed about this. And Morgan tells Rick, "You said you weren't going to take chances anymore." And then that was it. I thought this was a pretty good scene here. Okay, Eugene's in like the supply room getting some food or something like that. And he overhears a conversation between Carter and some other people. And Carter's talking about how Rick's going to get everybody killed, and they say that they need to take this community back. So he says, "We should talk to Diana about that, or we should kill Rick before he kills us." So Abraham listens to this, and he drops one of his supplies, and it breaks, so they overhear this. So he gets down on the floor, and Carter realizes that he hears him. So he pulls out his gun and points it at Eugene's head. But then Rick, Michonne, and Morgan come in, and Rick wants to know what's going on. And everybody says that there's some sort of meeting, and Rick and he says that we all were just talking about how we wanted to get rid of you, and Rick said how they wanted to take the community back, and Rick is like, oh, okay, and then he attacks him, grabs his gun, points it at him, and he says, "You think you're gonna take this community from us, from Glenn, from Daryl, from me?" And then he says, then he apologizes, and Rick says that you can either work with us and survive. And Rick's thinking about killing him, but he doesn't. And then Morgan gets this weird look on his face. And then what happens next is that Rick, Michonne, Morgan, and Calder, I think that might be it. Because they're luring their own pack of zombies, and they luring them through the. And right now they're in a pile right now, like they're in a herd, and they want to make sure they'll all stay together, so they're gonna take different sections. And if things go bad, like if one of them leaves the group, then they have every right to kill him. So Calder's running off, and then he gets bit by one of them, like really bad, like he bites him right in the face. And to be honest with you, I never seen a zombie bite somebody that severely in this show before. Like normally they only do it once and then that's it, but. And then it cuts back to the past, and Morgan is sitting on his porch. He's not sitting on his porch. He's sitting on Rick's porch, and Rick tells him that he can stay with us. That you don't need to stay in that prison cell anymore. He says that he knows you, even though it's for the first time in a while, and he was holding his baby. I think her name was like Julie. I don't remember her name. Not gonna lie. What's her name? I know it's like Julie or Juliet or something like that. And Morgan. He asks Morgan if he wants to hold her, and he does. And Morgan says that this is the kind of man that you are. You're the kind of man that said that this isn't over yet. This is the kind of man that when I was going crazy, he doesn't say this necessarily, but this is the kind of man that when I was going crazy. You're not the kind of man that you are here. And you showed that by not killing that guy. And Rick says that he really wanted to kill that Calder. He said he really wanted to. Because he says he doesn't have a right to survive. Because no matter what, he's going to die. And he said that he realized that he didn't have to kill him. And, all that stuff. I thought that was a good scene. And then Rick sees that Calder's been bit. And he says he's going to die somehow, some way. And then he sees Rick sees that Calder's been bit. He's trying to get Calder to be quiet. Not Calder to be quiet. And because what's happening is he's screaming so much that the herd's starting to go into the woods. So Rick kills him, and the herd starts goes back to normal after this, and Morgan says this is just how he is because Morgan and Michonne see this, and Rick kills one of his zombies in the background. And then that was it. I liked this scene. To be honest with you, I thought the episode was I thought the episode was actually just decent. But this actually improved the episode by these scenes right here. So I thought this stuff was good. Okay, so the episode continues with the herd continuing to walk away. And Rick is in the weapons room with I think her name is Jessie, and he's just grabbing some flares for tomorrow. And Rick tells Jesse that he's just gonna let things settle down since then, and he talks about what happened with Juan and how he shouldn't have been out there. And Jesse agrees, but he didn't want Rick to. She didn't want Rick to have to tell her son that. But Rick says that he had to know. He was just telling them the truth. But she said he didn't want Rick to hear it from you. He didn't want Juan to have to hear it from you. And Rick says that he's gonna have to teach him how to shoot a gun. And Jesse says, well, I got permission, and Jesse's going to teach. Rosita's going to teach me, and I'm going to teach my kids, because you said to fight like you told me to. So then it cuts to the next scene where well they're showing you where the home base is gonna be, where they're all gonna separate, and then Abraham asks Sasha if she's doing this because she wants to die, and Sasha says no, which makes sense because she's been kind of having some suicidal thoughts lately and stuff like that, and then they go down and they have this place where we saw earlier where the noise will distract the zombies, and Glenn tells Spencer that he doesn't think he should be coming out. He thinks he should think about it because he doesn't think that he's ready, but Glenn will make sure he's ready when the time is right. And then the episode ends with them continuing to watch the herd, and then we hear a horn go off. What happens is this horn, it sounds like it's coming from the town, Alexandria it's called. And all the zombies start heading towards the town, so I don't know, it's obviously what's going to happen with this. It obviously sounds blatant, but like they're trying to lure them to the town. I'm not really sure what's happening here, but we're going to have to wait and see. And then that was the end of the episode. Okay, so now I'm going to give you my overall thoughts on the episode. And I did like this episode. The positives is I did like how they showed how they set up this whole plan. And like it showed you how it was set up at first, and then it showed all the pieces coming together. And then I liked how when it showed the past, it showed it in black and white, then it showed the present. Because I was wondering at first why they were doing that, but then I understood that it was the past. And I did like how they did that, because then you could tell which one was which, and I thought it added that effect too. I do like how they utilized Rick in this episode, how he looked like his character, that he's this ruthless leader, but he does have somewhat of a kind character, like he is from the first season. I did like that part of the episode. I like the stuff that happened with Michonne and Abraham, and I like the stuff that happened with Glenn and Spencer, and I like the scene that Maggie and Tara had together. Overall, it was a pretty good episode. However, it was a little bit of a letdown, just because I was expecting maybe something a little bit more from the first season, from the first episode back. I was a little bit disappointed. I thought they were going to do something a little bit bigger in this episode. I did like what they did with Carter in this episode too, by the way. But yeah, I did, because there was points where it was kind of boring. And, I think maybe too it's, I'm trying to get back in the swing of things with doing these Walking Dead reviews again, because obviously I'm rusty with this, because I haven't done it in so long. I can't remember people's names, and I can't remember the name of the town. I'm kind of out of tune of what happened the last episode, so I am a little bit out of tune with doing these reviews, but hey, whatever. But hey, I'm back to doing them. I hope it becomes a more continuous thing. I want to at least try to finish out this, because, well, I guess the midway through the season, because it's only halfway through the season. I do want to at least get caught up with The Walking Dead by the end of the week, so I am going to try to upload more videos during the week. But yeah, I did like this episode for the most part. If I had to give it a rating, I would rate it maybe a 7 out of 10, because it was a good episode. It just was a little bit disappointing, because I was expecting them to do at least somewhat something big. Because, I mean, I did think what they did was fine. I just was expecting them to do something big since this was the return. And I was a little disappointed just because of the trailer setup. Because I really don't want them to have another season where it was just kind of like last season, where it was good, but nothing was really memorable about it. And if they go down this track, I'm worried that may happen again. So, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe it won't happen again, because, from what I saw, from what I saw in the trailer, there is some more promising things. But like I said, I did like how they went to black and white. I think that's just going to be a one-time thing. I did think that was something different, too, that they hadn't done before. It did give it that effect. So I did like that. And I like how the stuff that they're setting up with Spencer and Glenn. So I do like what they did with this episode. But that's pretty much it, guys. You want to make sure you check out all the stuff down in the description box, all the YouTube channels and the Facebook pages. And make sure to click down below to subscribe to my channel for future content. And that's pretty much it, guys. I'll talk to you later.